Monday, July 25th, live from Bleecker Trading in New York City. Join the Bleecker Trading team with the Card Ladder crew for the first annual pre-national party. An industry mixer and trade night hosted by Card Ladder. Monday before National, the first annual industry mixer and trade night. Be there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Oh, wow. The Sims are pouring in quickly tonight.
The Prism Sims?
Oh, I almost accidentally deleted my notepad file that had all the questions. I came back close. That would have been bad. That would have been a
Your
freestyle.
Microsoft Word doc?
No, I don't have Word.
You like that one?
It's just a notepad file.
I'm ready for the zingers tonight.
What's that, Josh?
I'm ready for the zingers tonight. I'm prepared.
You fired up and ready to rant a little bit?
I'm ready to go, man.
I put that question like right in the middle, so you won't really know when it's coming.
I can't really win on that one. I'm gonna lose, but just let me have my moment.
Dude, you can have many moments.
Over 3 hours, we tend to have a couple.
All right, let's go. Do you have any mail days?
I do. I have one, and I've posted it like 5 times already today. So.
Let's keep it
Why
going.
not one more? If you haven't seen this by now, then you don't have Instagram, because I have been 2006 Topps Chrome, PSA 10, Chris Paul. So I went live, I made a post, and then I did the reel. I started the reels. I don't know if you saw, but...
Yeah, I like the TI, which you know about that, music selection. How'd you settle on that song?
Well, I searched TI and picked the first one that came up.
Nice. Well, congrats. How'd you come across that card? You won it on auction, or how'd you get it?
Oh, yeah, some sites, they have auctions, and you win those auctions.
Nice. All right. I have a small mail day. First one in a few weeks.
Good.
This is the 2016 Le'Veon Bell Prism Gold. And this is the 2018. And I intend to grade both of those at the National. And that brings my Le'Veon Bell Prism Gold count to 5.
Nice.
Or 6. 5 or 6. I'm getting close. I'm getting there.
You are a Le'Veon Bell super collector. Some of the people in the chat were worried that you still collected cards, given that it was a couple weeks here.
Valid. Very valid concern, but I'm here to alleviate any doubts. Do we have any news or any updates?
I have one update. It's quick. The edit custom index.
Let's go.
So,
let me just say this too. As you show this, Chaz Pennysleeve had the first question of tonight, which is, make sure to note that Josh added the feature to edit your custom created index. I'm really glad he added the ability to edit and delete cards.
Awesome. Yes. So, if you have one existing, and this is great, especially for the case where you add the cards manually. There's a little pencil in the top right of the custom index, and then it fills out the cards you've already set up, and then you can add, remove, rename the index, whatever you want to do. And then just down here you can save it. You can also delete if you don't want to look at it anymore and it's too depressing. There's the delete option. There you go.
Nice. Very nice. We also have a series of blogs out that have been coming out this week that feature one of our writers' insights on the National and, some tips for how to navigate spectating the show. So check those out as well. You can access those on the feed. So There we go. Advice, the do's and don'ts when dealing at the National, with some nice clip art.
How to budget yourself, how card letters features can help you. Yeah, these are all really good, actually. I enjoyed them.
They are. They are. The content never stops. Okay, Christine, do we have any announcements? We should probably just, since there's only going to be one more crossover before the National, we should probably point out that the Monday before the National at Bleecker Trading in Manhattan will be featuring a industry mixer, trade night, get-together party hosted by Card Ladder in conjunction with Bleecker Trading. So welcome all. All are welcome. Well, maybe a few aren't welcome, but 99.9% are welcome. And we hope to see as many of you guys as possible on Monday night.
And then Bleecker has a bus to Atlantic City on Tuesday. If you're interested in the bus from Manhattan to, I see you, Josh, Manhattan to AC, then go to Bleecker Trading on Instagram and RSVP.
Yeah, and there's going to be some very important people on that bus, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what this is.
The first of all, this is straight from the Lefko Cards account. I'll be on it. National, here we come. Okay, so some of your favorite TV personalities in the sports space will be on the Magic Shuttle.
How did you not show the Lamine picture of a live look at the bus?
I got that coming next. It's so hard to get to Lameem's account. He's like, I swear he's like shadow banned. Yeah.
He is. I always have to go to my DMs and like find him and then go through it that way.
Yeah. Still, he somehow has 24,000 followers. He just. There you go.
The guy that's like right up next to Adam.
I don't get it.
You do not know who that is.
I know who that is.
Who is it?
You really want me to say the name?
There's Stiff Arm Wax, and there's me.
Who's sitting next to you?
No one.
He's like staring at you. You know the like joke of, you know, you get on an elevator and you turn the other way and just stare at people? I feel like that's what this guy's trying to do to you. You're like clearly not. You don't want to though. You're looking the other way.
Yo, this edit took some time, man. I just want to point that out. All right, well.
So you're gonna tell the people the last announcement that you're running for?
No, that's not an announcement. I've already emailed Schulte. I told him don't buy the hype.
Well, one thing I do know about these lives is that the chat doesn't get to live through, so I gotta say something in order to survive the chat. We're all voting for Chris HOJ for Influencer of the Year. If you need more information, reach out to Fat Snacks Cards. He'll give you what you need to know to vote. Let's do this.
Just know your vote will be in vain because A, I'm not an influencer. B, I am the anti-influencer. I am against influencers. And C, I already told Ray to ignore.
Did you really? You did, didn't you?
I did. I do not. I am not.
I've already called Ray and told him to ignore Chris's word of ignore.
And I called Ray and I told him whatever Christina says is the right one.
All right. I'm not telling you guys my final move. I have one more move up my sleeve.
You're just going to move to Canada or something?
All right, let's go.
What's your other move?
I'm not telling you.
Because you don't have one.
All right, you just believe that.
Okay.
You just keep believing that until they announce the award and it goes to Logan Paul, and I'll get the last laugh.
Is your last laugh going to be at your acceptance speech? Is that your final move?
Hanging Chads. Okay. We have a buttload of questions.
We do. I saw them. We do.
Oh my God. And like there's some
Cards
really
and Candy's back.
Cards and Candy is back. We got some deep, hard-hitting questions. It took a long time to organize these. All right, first question let's start spicy.
Right.
Let's start off spicy. Elevated Card Collector says he's coming right at the basketball guys, right at our necks.
Weak hands, that one.
Yeah, he says, why does it seem that basketball collectors have weak hands when compared to vintage baseball collectors? I collect both basketball, parentheses, pre-Panini, and vintage baseball. I have a solid collection of both, and I thought cards like 96 Credentials, Jambalaya, Fusion, Noise Boys would hold up better than they have. Even with low pops, they keep showing up for lower and lower prices, whereas my vintage cards, my Willie Mays, my Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, they keep pacing upward, unfazed by the dumpster fire that the rest of the card market is. What can we do to encourage other collectors to hold instead of fold under the pressure of a down market? Woo! Wow.
I feel like the best answer to this question is just like a moment of silence to let that all settle in. It's just a really well asked question, well written. I thought it was really strong. I mean, he's not wrong, is he?
No, and there's some real fire and passion behind that question too. That's a top question, because it makes its case, and then it says, but is there anything we can do? And what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, I think that the basketball market is kind of the entry point for a lot of the investor flipper types, and we're just this may be just the phase of like weeding some of those folks out during this downturn, and we can learn something from the vintage baseball people, frankly. Like, I think, the wise old vintage baseball, the thing that's been around the longest, the type of card that takes up half the national, especially when I first started going to the nationals, it's the staple of the hobby. It's the backbone. So I think we can learn a lot from it. And we haven't really talked about this in general, though, like just not selling your cards. I think this is an important topic that should be discussed as collectors, as stewards of the hobby. We should be holding our cards. We should not be giving into this, flood of cards going for sale. We should be holding firm and holding our cards.
Definitely. Yeah, a word of caution, too. Don't get too cocky. I've seen some of these vintage cards showing up on the latest hot influencers YouTube page, and I've seen these cards showing up in some of the display cases at some of the younger dealers at these card shows. And as the question asker rightly points out, it seems like the demographic of who owns and buys and sells, some subset of those cards can influence how the market looks in the short term. So be careful what you put a spotlight on, and be careful with, bold, confident statements, because the tide can turn very quickly. So, as soon as like people in this hobby feel like there's a sure thing, I think they go straight for it and take that flipper mentality, and they'll just move it right into this next segment. So, but with that said, if I could wave a magic wand and make any segments of this hobby, impervious to market fluctuation, it would be vintage. And we have a question that sort of touches on this later. Fuck it, I might as well go get it right now if I can find it. The question had to do with 90. Here it is. Okay, so this question comes from South Bay Collector. He says, a lot of people like me collected as a kid and then got back into the hobby during the pandemic. I'm priced out of high end, but I jumped right into low and mid end 90s inserts that I couldn't afford as a kid. Now I'm looking at them and wondering, how long will they be relevant? As older generations leave the hobby and new ones enter, do you think the desire for 90s will go away? We love them because we grew up with them. Well, what if you didn't grow up with them? I'm specifically thinking about the low to mid end 90s, which are more affordable and readily available. Thanks. Okay, so I think the reason why I pivoted to this question is pretty obvious. This is why I think I love seeing strength in the vintage category because it speaks to concerns like this.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
there's plenty of people who are collecting vintage cards who appreciate it for its history, who appreciate it for the players depicted, not necessarily because it's nostalgic for them or because they grew up on it. What do you say to South Bay collector?
Yeah, I like how you brought it back to like us basically like needing vintage to be strong because we can always look back to vintage the as these cards get older and as these players get older and fade away and a lot of them like unfortunately pass away as they get older. What can we expect from that market? And if you look to vintage and you see that vintage are breaking these all-time records, the cards continue to go up and right. Isn't it only logical to say that's going to continue to happen with cards that are after it? And also the follow-up to that for the 90s specifically, we had this huge boom of people like our age coming into the hobby, late 20 teens and then into 2020 with pandemic. That group of people is aged like 30 to 40, right? We're just now coming into like our prime income, prime earning years. Like, so if anything, I would assume just, logically speaking, mathematically, we're actually going to be, having more money infused into that 90s realm, I would think.
Absolutely. So that's kind of, two sides of the same coin there is, hey, it does suck that pretty rare 90s cards like Credentials, which is numbered to 499, Fusion was pointed out numbered to 250, Jambalaya and Noise Boys are short printed. It does suck that those, skyrocketed in price and now have come down some percentage, 20, 30% or something. I know that a Jordan Jambalaya BGS 9.5 went for a really modest price relative to comps just a few months ago on PWCC's last premier auction.
Right.
So, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can just bring that up real quick for illustrative purposes.
While you bring that up, I have one more thought about Jordan reminding me of this.
Go for it.
The other thing to take comfort in is that we have these like mega superstar collectible athletes that are holding down these eras. Like we could just point to Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth to say we've got these legends in the game that'll always sort of keep the rising tide of all these different eras of cards up. And you've got Michael freaking Jordan holding down the 90s, passes the torch to Kobe, to LeBron, to hopefully like Giannis, Luka. We've got these like people in the hobby, these collectible players that are kind of keeping those eras, I would say, always relevant. And you'll always see this place of, hey, Jordan's there. I can always buy stuff around him. Those will make Jordan's values go up. We've seen that game over and over. So to have like Jordan in the 90s, I think is just kind of, to me, brings a lot of safety to that.
Absolutely. So here's the card in question. Jordan Jambalaya BGS 9.5. Stunning card. One of the, most celebrated 90s insert sets. Pop is 42. And so this card topped out at 126 grand. And remember, subgrade variance plays a role here, but it topped out at 126 grand in May, very recently. And then it sold again for only 72 in June, not even a month later. And so, that's scary to see that type of price drop off, especially if you happen to buy at 126 or 108 last fall. But this also is the fourth highest sale on record. The fifth highest would be 40 grand in September of 2020. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that the earliest sale in Card Ladder of this card is $935 in 2007. Let's just round that up to 1,000. And then the last sale was 72,000. So let's just say that, roughly speaking, that card is appreciated 72x or 72 fold. I don't think you could find many, if any, cards depicting Mays, Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth. I don't know if you could find many cards depicting those players that have appreciated 72 fold over the last 15 years. They've appreciated maybe 10, 15, on the higher side, maybe 20, but not many have done a 72x. So maybe there's also something to be said for the more incremental, gradual appreciation in price that vintage sees, as opposed to these sort of parabolic, cartoonish 72x returns.
Yeah, another mini rant that this makes me want to go down is this is why that graph right there, that card, especially this card, because it's Jordan and it's 90s, and there's nothing that would say to me like, oh, this is a card that should be going down. What makes me so angry about that is like, this is why we say don't hype cards unnecessarily. Don't say we're in the second inning. Don't say this is undervalued. You know, don't say one day people are gonna realize that this card, blah, blah, blah. Because all that it ends up doing is sending the card up, straighten up, and then it comes down because of it went up too fast. It's not because of Jordan. There's nothing else to look into on that. It came down because the supply of that card is fairly high. It got heated up way too quickly, in a short amount of time. And it's just going to come down. It's just going to correct. That's the way it is. And now the narrative is like, oh, that card's crashing. As opposed to if we didn't have that hype up, people would be like, look how steady and consistent Michael Jordan cards are. I've told you guys, always invest in Jordan. It's a great place to put your money. Instead, the narrative is, why is Michael Jordan cards crashing? All because of like 2 sales and people hyping the card up and people hyping everything up. Maybe that didn't happen with this specific card. Maybe I'm just, ranting, but I feel like there's something there to... Let's look at the 15-year picture of stuff. Like, why do we need stuff to go 5x in 2 months? Why do we need that? Who does that benefit? It only ends up hurting those people who buy at that peak.
Totally agree, man. And look, hopefully that is one of the consequences of the ridiculous roller coaster ride that card prices have gone on over the last 3 to 4 years, is that there will be some desire to have incremental growth or even just stable prices. We have another question that came in about that, we'll get to it later, but yeah, I think that's a terrific point. And we've talked about this in, months and months ago. Would you rather see a hobby that has a price appreciation in the aggregate of maybe 10-20% per year? Or would you rather see, a 500% increase year over year, followed by, a 30% pullback, and, followed by, a weird plateau? How would you, if you could have a perfect, roadmap for how hobby pricing would work, what would you want it to be?
Well, I mean, we already know the answer. I always prefer the slow growth, and we treat our business the same way. We're not looking to like 10x card ladder tomorrow. It wouldn't even make sense. Like, we physically couldn't even handle that. So like, it doesn't make sense to do that.
No, it doesn't.
Well, like, what does that content look like, Chris? What is this content of this person yelling at you through a YouTube channel being like, this card is so amazing that I believe that it's 5% better than it was last year. This is just such a boring, safe thing that I think you all really need to not jump on it, but think about it over the next few years, what you might think of this card. I think everyone already knows what it is. It's valued properly. Let's just slowly look at it, and what do you guys think?
Right. No, I know. I hear you. What does that content look like? That content has to be about something other than prices.
That's right.
Other than profit, And there's so much to talk about. Like, I went on the Stacking Slabs pod this week, and this was one of the things that we talked about. And this has been like a topic that's been coming up on Clubhouse and stuff too, is a little bit lately, is like, as people mature in the hobby, where do they go next? And one of the ways to mature in the hobby is like to take a deeper interest in the sport itself, to get more involved in the history of the sport, to learn more about the history of the athletes that are collected, to learn more about the history of cards. And that's a really nice pivot that can produce plenty of content that's, engaging. And, but it takes effort, and it takes a passion and a commitment and a maturation process to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. More hot topics. Mike Pinkerton 50 wants to know, does the National kickstart the hobby?
we have any like proof of that in any of the data?
I don't know, but I've never seen anything that really feels like that. The way I would answer it is like this. No, the National does not kickstart the hobby, but it does reset it. And maybe not market-wise, maybe not price-wise, but community-wise, culture-wise, everybody coming together, seeing each other in person, being in a relaxed environment, being in a fun environment, it just resets attitudes. It alleviates tensions. It calms people down. It's fun. It's like a reset. It's the once a year reset where everybody just mellows out, gets together, and then recharges. That's how I feel about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the reset word. I would stick with that and say it like resets people's strategies. They could go and kind of maybe see the way that other people are strategizing during this period and adjust, get some ideas of what others are doing around them and see it in person.
Good. All right. Stacking Gems wants to know, how packed do you think the National will be this year?
I don't know the size of the venue. I don't know the width of the hallways and stuff, but I'm guessing packed. Like I don't see a scenario where it's not. This is kind of like the first National where it feels like we're towards the tail end of this COVID thing and people are starting to get more comfortable, certainly more comfortable than last year. So it kind of feels like it might be that, high energy excitement that we're sort of getting past COVID and we can kind of enjoy the time together in person at a big event. Mm-hmm. So to that end, I would say it's going to be packed.
Stronger Sports Card says, if you could add a city to the National rotation, which city would it be?
Probably like something in Southern California because it's close to me.
Yeah.
Probably like LA, Irvine, Laguna Beach area.
Yeah. What would be nice is just something that, maybe I love the oceanfront stuff. So that's what I love about AC, but especially if it was something in a moderate climate like San Diego, so that, Nationals maybe taking place in 70 or 80 degree weather. I could see the Bay Area being a nice one as well. I'd love to see it move out west once in a while too. But, the difficulty with it moving out west is that it's tough for dealers and people who set up to transport all their things. You have to think about the practicality of that. How do you bring all that stuff on a trip, a cross-country trip?
Well, how do people from California bring it to the National in Atlantic City?
I don't think many do. Some use pallets to ship their stuff. Some drive, but, that's the East Coast bias is born of the fact that lots of dealers, that you're going to get lots and lots of dealers setting up in the Midwest and the East Coast. But yeah, I agree. I think it'd be tough for some people, but I'd love to see the West Coast.
What about Texas? Dallas seems to be a popular spot because it's very central. That kind of solves your problem more so, having
Dallas,
something in the center.
Do you know how hot it is in Dallas right now?
Yeah, it would have to move.
You do actually. You do. You actually do.
Literally right now, it's 9:30 at night here. It is 104 degrees.
Oh my God. No.
I do know.
You do know. All right. You do.
Do you just have the AC running 24/7?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like 20 hours out of the day. Yeah. They can't keep up either. I'll have the AC set at 77, which is hot. It's I know a lot of people that have it at 73. 77, it can't even get there. It's stuck at 78 for hours.
Northwoods Card Collector says, I find that a lot of people sell, save, and hold on to money a couple of months, specifically June and July, before the National, so they have funds on hand. I personally find myself passing on some cards I normally would have bought, but I choose not to spend, and I choose to save for the National instead. Do you guys think that there is a mindset like this in the hobby that shows up in the market trends or the daily sales volume? How much do you think the National itself affects the card market leading up to the show? So let me just go to Card Ladder's dashboard really quick, pull up a 6-month sales volume, the 6-month sales volume chart. And, look, this is staggered, but just if you can imagine sort of the trend line here, it's pretty flat to be, wow, I'm having a hard time holding the camera and showing, but it's pretty flat, but there also is a pretty marked, if small, decline that kind of started in May. And you have to imagine the trend line being there, but it does sort of come down a bit. And we're seeing a few more total sales volume numbers in the 300,000s. We're seeing a few of those in the month of June and July, whereas we didn't really have any of those in January, February, March. We didn't have anything that low. So there is something to that, I think. But look, that's not a scientific study. That's anecdotal. That's me just hovering over points on a graph. There would be, ideally, you'd take the time to set up some controls and analyze that data properly.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for how I approach it. I stopped spending money in the last month leading up to it, so I've definitely slowed down. So I think other people are probably thinking the same thing. So again, anecdotally, yeah.
Yep. Now, are you doing it to save for the national, or okay? You are. All right. Got it. Okay. Mike Pinkerton 50 says, what do you think you will see at the national that will be an indicator for where the hobby is going? I like this question. So what are some things you might see at the national that you can use to forecast or extrapolate from about what direction the hobby is going to go in afterwards?
I feel like you have something on top of mind.
But because I won't be coming in with any preconceived notions, but I definitely will be just soaking up the vibes, taking in the scene, and just surveying the landscape. We'll talk to tons of people. We'll see what the sentiment is. We'll see what's on people's mind. We have a nice comparison. Doesn't last year's national feel like it was so long ago? But to the extent that we can remember it, I'll try to compare the vibe. What do you remember about the vibe from last year? How would you sum it up?
I remember lots of action, lots of deals going on. Just tons of really big, confident purchases of 5- and 6-figure cards and massive trades of lots of cards moving back and forth between collectors. I remember a lot of that. So I'll be looking for that. Are we going to see a lot of those big cash deals, or are people going to be hesitant to spend their money right now? But I think more realistically, the answer is like you said, speaking to other collectors and figuring out where they're at, sort of emotionally, and where they feel their confidence is at with buying cards right now and stuff like that. And because it's obviously impossible to actually track the data and the sales on the show floor. So it's going to be more of just kind of feeling it out away from the tables.
Yeah, definitely. And hold on, I'll let you go. I just have to mention this. Noted hobby archaeologist and anthropologist Julian Schultz will be at the National this year. Maybe. So he can conduct some, anthropological studies, some surveys, and hopefully produce a report that can let us know sentiment-wise where the hobby's at right now. Go ahead, Christina.
I was going to say this is a great opportunity to remind everyone that they should report their private sales to Card Ladder while at the National. So download Card Ladder now, and then you can report it directly from your phone and not have to wait. Not have to wait until you get back to your hotel and you're on your laptop.
And also, the Dallas show is going on right now. And this was one of the highlight deals from the show. Nick Uliano was updating me on this on Clubhouse a little bit earlier today. He's down there in Dallas. And apparently 4 Mantle PSA 4.5s maybe was the grade or something. But a bunch of them were sold. And I think there they are in the hands of Quick Consignment 802, whose caption to this post is, alert, just another day, laughing emoji, alert, handshake, cash emoji, Dallas Card Show pickups.
I have one thing to add to that. That's an incredible lot of manuals. This isn't anything to hype anyone or get anyone excited, but I have been seeing some people privately saying like this is a good time to buy, and I have heard of some like pretty big private deals going down. So, and that one kind of confirms what I was thinking there, is that like some of the, I don't want to call it smart money, but some of like the private, like bigger money is moving on some of these pieces now, because it's finally like falling into the range of, hey, this has dipped 50% in value. Now I do think it's actually a good value for me to buy more stuff with the cash I have sitting on the sideline.
Nice.
So, Chris, maybe you could take a second to answer Preston Cards' question about what proof you require for private sales.
Okay, so Preston Cards would like to know what proof do you require. I'm going to use that to actually answer a few questions. So the first one is, how do you submit a private sale? And so if you're looking for submitting a private sale, one way to do it is just come up here to sales history, come over here. I'm on the web, obviously. Hit that plus. Then you can dump your, if it was an eBay sale that didn't get recorded, you can just dump the eBay item ID right there. Otherwise, you can upload a picture, put the price, the date, any relevant link. If there isn't a relevant link, then link to your social media. Put a title that accurately, a searchable title that accurately describes the item. You can change the type to whatever type best suits, probably going to be best offer in most cases. And then details that help verify the sale. So some of the relevant details are going to be, was this a cash transaction? Was this a wire transfer? Was this a partial cash, partial trade? If so, what were the other cards valued at and what were they? Be liberal with the provision of details, and we will follow up if need be. You know, if this is a case where a sale is in line with comps, it's coming from a reputable, upstanding member of the community, then, you know, we probably won't do much following up. But if this is a higher profile sale of a higher profile card, we are going to follow up, and we're going to want to see some sort of proof of transfer of funds. And if it's, you know, a cash deal, then some sort of verification from people who are parties to the deal on both sides. You know, anything, like, I don't want to limit the scope of what's acceptable evidence, but you know, we're going to need to see a lot because we prefer to err on the side of caution in situations like this. So I mean, that's probably the quickest, smoothest, easiest way. Josh, do you want to add anything to that for reporting private sales?
Nope.
Okay. Ben X Crunner 1 says, what keeps you collecting after having so many awesome cards already?
Wow, what a great compliment. Thank you, Ben. That's so nice of you to say that you think my... Oh, was this like a generic question, or is this like directed at...
I think, like, you just take that baton and run with it. Right?
Not really, because there's like... I get a lot more enjoyment out of the hobby than just, you know, what's the next PC card. That's just kind of one of the aspects that, you know, bring me enjoyment. So like if there is a period of time where I'm feeling like I don't know what I'm going to buy next, I usually just lean into something else. Like I'll do more podcasts or, you know, speak to more collectors, go to more shows or something to figure out what my next move is. But there's always something, man. There's always the next. I mean, dude, you're collecting Le'Veon Bell and Christian. There's always something, right?
Oh yeah, it's just how involved, how deep do you want to go? Yeah. You know, but I'll tell you what, to directly answer the question of what motivates me to want to add another card to my collection, dude, it's as simple as this. It's as simple as laying out me and Christina's 25 best cards and, you know, looking at them, enjoying them, ordering them, you know, whatever. I sent you a picture like 3 a.m. last night of that I took of two of my favorite cards. But I was doing this. I was literally doing this last night, and I looked at it and I said, "This collection is trash." And then I said, "How do I make this better? You know, like, what do I do to improve this? Could I consolidate or
Right.
you know, change? You know, could I move some of these? Could I sell some of these? Could I package them up into a trade?" Or am I happy with this? Do I want to keep building? Like right now I have 2 of the Jordan Legacy Collection cards from Flair. He has 7 total. And I'm at the crossroads where I'm like, do I want to get the other 5? Do I want to stay content with these 2? Or do I want to like maybe sell 4 of my smaller, numbered 90s Jordans and try and consolidate them into like a 97 rubies out of 50 that's up for sale with Golden right now, ending tomorrow night. Like these are the decisions that I confront myself with when I lay out the collection, and I think about how shitty it is, and I wonder how can I make it better. Like that will always get me fired up to want to improve the collection. Just laying it all out and saying, how can I, this needs to be better.
That's funny because it was about a week ago. I had the thought, and I looked at my PC, did the same thing. I laid them out, looked at them, and I was like, man, if it wasn't for LeBron gold refractors, my collection would be total trash. All I can do is one thing. I can only do one thing well. Without that, I'm just a bum with a bunch of Chris Paul and 0 championship winning bums. Anthony Hardaway injured. Without the LeBron golds, what am I? So it's like, do I need to? It's like looking in the mirror. Like, do I need to expand? Like, you're better than this. A new lane. You can dominate her. There's always something. I mean, Nat freaking Turner, that dude is always hunting the next card, and he has, an insane collection of one-of-ones and seemingly everything you could ever want. That dude's still, freaking begging people on Instagram every day for cards that he wants to buy from him.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point, too. I've always loved – I prefer to be the small fish in the big pond.
Oh, my God, stop.
What the fuck? You're in the world's weirdest pond.
I love to be the small fish in a big pond because there is a bizarre sense of comfort knowing that there are collectors out there like Nat that are so superior to me, or collectors like Bob M. Track, who has an endless collection of LeBron one-of-ones. And you actually now, you have to scroll so far down. But because he has so many, how many posts does he have? 800. He has more posts than me on Instagram. He has so many posts. He has over 800 posts. You just really have to fucking scroll. But he's got all the LeBron rainbows. I just seeing something like this, the 2014 Prism Black LeBron posted 29 weeks ago by Bob Track. Just knowing that there's guys out here with collections pushing into the 9 figures. That's really, really.
Well, he's part of it. He's what I'm talking about. He has all the cards I have, and that's like a small sliver of his collection. He's like, oh yeah, gold refractors, that's cute. Do you have any of the Panini ones? Do you have any of the blacks? Do you have any of the supers? I'm like, no.
Yep. And that's also why it's fun to try and figure out ways to build a collection that even Nat Turner or Bob M. Track or Spinatron or anybody that they can't emulate. That's like a fun challenge as well. Like, you know what? None of you guys are going to be able to make better Christian McCaffrey PCs than me. So I got you beat there.
Thank goodness you have that lane.
That's a big brain move.
Yeah. Okay, so Vinny Slabarino says, I always enjoy the show. He does always enjoy the show. What is your strategy for a card that you really want that has an outrageously high bin? I have an example of this, by the way. But is taking offers. So super high bin, but is taking offers. Do you try and reason with the seller and send in an offer? Do you save your breath, thinking it's a waste of time? Curious as to your experience, as I tend to not want to do business with unreasonable people, but then again, maybe they're just posturing and I'm missing out on an opportunity. What do you think about that?
Well, the reasonable, proper answer is, message them, ask if they're serious about selling it at a reasonable price. If not, just move on. The answer that I take, this is my move. I'm just a petty motherfucker. I would message them with some snarky message about how idiotic their price is and, they're ruining the hobby.
Well, look, all right, I'm going through this with this card right now. So this once had a much higher bin. This once was like 60 or 70. And it does have offers turned on And this is the 98 Ultra Masterpiece, 1/1 Hakeem. One of my absolute favorite players. And a 90s 1/1 Masterpiece is like a truly exceptional rare card. I can't imagine Hakeem has more than a half dozen or so. And, that's where I'm at with this card right now, is that I'd love to own this card, but it's about 4 times higher than...
More than that, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think the Barry Bonds of that sold for like $7,000.
okay, so
Yeah, I would pay like $4,500 for that card. You're laughing. I thought that was high.
It's pretty disappointing you don't have a killer Hakeem Olajuwon collection.
Well,
no, it's not
collection, but I need at least a killer card. That's what I really need.
Not
That's where I
that
need to
price.
start.
Well,
Didn't we
this
look
whole
found out what it sold for?
this whole like 1/1 thing that you got going on, your little, thing that you do, it's not going to work out so well with the 90s stuff. So you might have to like change your perspective, because like Hakeem does have, I think, 2 or 3 of those Flair masterpieces. That he's got like the showcase masterpieces, like 5 or 6 of those, and then he's got like the 1/1 Gem Master. But dude, there's not much else. Like there's not a lot of options, and those cards are just completely buried. A lot of them probably aren't even existing anymore. They're probably missing. It's just really hard in the 90s. I don't want to say I've never even owned a single 1/1 Penny Hardaway 90s.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It is hard, but that's okay. But that's that. You know what that makes me think about? Okay, so look. So I see that the platinum medallion version of this card sold for $1,000 in January, and according to Hakeem's index, it's it's up quite. It's more like 1,200 now. So that's the platinum medallion out of 99, the same grade. So what multiplier applies there?
Yeah, but look at the seller of that card.
Yeah, that seems really high, dude. Those platinums.
20% comp on, like 20% on that of what it actually is worth.
Look at Christina, like trying to talk me out of something she already knows is gonna happen.
Those pennies of that card, I've bought a couple of those at like $100, $200. Those are not $1,000 cards. I don't think. They might be now. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, Josh.
You very well may
I thought
be.
they were only like $300, and the 1/1 is more like 7 to 8, something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. The way that I've played it with this card is I've just totally ignored it, and then somebody. A friend of ours brought it up, and I said, "Back off! Don't even talk about that card." So that.
And then you showed everyone in the audience. Smart.
That's part of the strategy. Is you don't even work on the seller. Just convince everybody who might be in the market to buy it that they need to stay away. No, don't do that. I actually hate when people do that. I used back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago, there used to be this one Jordan collector who just was trying to get a card, a Jordan Jambalaya, so hard, and he would make a post once a month about how the latest auction of a Jordan Jambalaya was shilled. You can't trust it. The market is manipulated. Stay away. This is terrible. Keep in mind, this is when that card was $5-6 grand. Everybody. And then when he finally got his copy, then all those posts stopped coming out. Suddenly the market is legitimate. It's not manipulated. So don't be that guy. I'm just being an idiot trying to get a cheap laugh.
Yeah, you would just wait. There's nothing else you can do, man. Just wait it out. It'll come down. Or if he doesn't, then he just doesn't want to sell, right? It's just a case of he doesn't want to sell it, which is fine.
Yep. And that's exact. Well, it's not fine because you know what? When we make up our minds on a card, the card.
If you buy that card, if he lowers the value to $8,000 and you hit the bin, you are so fucked.
Why?
Because you're not going to be able. You are not going to buy that card and be like, yeah, I'm satisfied. I'm done collecting Hakeem Olajuwon. There's the end of that. Back to my normal life of Yeah, right. You're going to be like perusing eBay for Hakeem Olajuwon cards for the next 48 hours.
That's true. And that's a nice thing about the social media era, or just collecting players who like are in products that are coming out right now, playing your stuff, is that like Hakeem's have had 20, 25, 30 years to get buried. You know, if you, especially like going back to like his early 90s and his 86 Fleer rookie. Modern players, you know, that stuff has a much better chance of like coming to market at some point in the near future. Like it gets pulled out of a break and then, you know, it comes to market. But like, I can't even imagine trying to track down McCaffrey's Prism Black 1/1s like 20 years from now. So
That's awesome.
That tempers my desire to want to chase Hakeem 1/1s that, like you were saying, like they're going to be buried.
Yeah, but even like his PMGs and stuff are as difficult to get. That stuff is as difficult as it is for you to get some of the 1/1 McCaffrey stuff. Honestly, it is. Yeah. But let me make the case for Hakeem. I think he's going to be.
What are we doing here? Which way are we pushing me?
I've tried to get you to collect Hakeem for a really long time because I want you to collect Hakeem because you'll know exactly what it's like for me to collect Penny. Because you've collected Jordan, which is a totally like it's not even realistic. Collecting Jordan is like a whole separate thing. It's like it's a separate life. Collecting Hakeem is a realistic thing that you can collect.
Yeah. A
pretty extensive 90s collection. You can go really deep. So I would be excited for you to do that. Here's my case for Hakeem. Historically, he's going to age super well. He's never going to have his blocks record broken. As the game starts to evolve more and more to the spread offense, I heard Bill Simmons talking about there isn't a single player in the NBA who is like, that dude's good at post moves, and he's really good at, you can throw him the ball in the block. And even if they were good at it, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, people are always going to be like, okay, well then who can we look to that used to be good at the post moves? They're always going to go to Hakeem because he was like the most recent sort of like face of the post moves and like sort of the dump it down to the big man, let him score. I'm probably hurting your ability to be able to acquire some of these Hakeems, but I really like Hakeem, and I think you should consider it.
Yeah, I like Hakeem a lot too. Well, it would start with something like that card, or
I don't know. Frankie made a good point. He said you should go after a Prism 1/1
of Hakeem.
Of Hakeem, yeah.
Is he in Prism?
Those are post playing years, Chris.
Yeah, I know. I don't like those.
I could just poke the bear so easily with Chris.
Hakeem he's in 2012 Prism. Here, what do you think this sold for?
Ooh, I love this game. What's the grade?
SGC 9.5.
He was also in 2019.
Which is the grade of Mint Plus, not to be confused with Gem Mint.
When did that sell?
This sold in May of this year.
$6,000.
Nice. 7,500.
Oh, not bad. That's pretty good. Because I didn't Drake and KG sell for that? Or Duncan?
KG and Duncan were like, in PSA 9, were about twice that. But both are plain years cards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, both are. So, not bad.
If you already had a sick Hakeem collection, would you buy that one?
Prism Gold? I don't know. It's hard to say, but I like to put limits on stuff. And I don't think I'd go into post-playing years.
If Jordan had a Prism card, would you go after that 1/1?
I wouldn't be able to afford those. Dude, if
Jordan that would be so competitive.
Like,
go to that question now. Someone asked me if I'm going to start buying Prism Gold LeBron. I got my answer queued up.
Let's go down the LeBron. There's a few questions on this topic here.
God, it's halfway, isn't it?
It's halfway. Here we go. All right. From Mr. Diamond Hands, for Josh, are we going to see you pick up any LeBron Gold Prisms anytime soon?
No. They're way too expensive relative to Topps Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like Topps better. Like, it just doesn't – if the Prism Golds were half the price of the Topps Chrome stuff that I like to buy, I would. I would definitely do it. But it's like 5 or 6 – I mean, obviously they're more rare. There's only 10, so I get it. It just doesn't like make financial sense. I'd rather get a rookie or like 3 different Topps Chrome cards instead.
Okay. Okay, now let's get to the big one. Upstate sports cards. Why does LeBron keep discussing social issues? most people that collect LeBron most likely have opposing viewpoints. So when collectors hear him spew nonsense, I'm sure that hurts his image. Is this why we see so many LeBron grails go to auction? Because card holders are getting fed up with his antics.
And that's different from all the Kobe cards and Jordan cards coming to auction. It's only LeBron cards that are being sold.
Well, Andrew Kesey followed up and said, to give some balance, myself personally find at times wishing that Jordan spoke up more on social issues. So LeBron doing so is refreshing. This is America. You would think by now most of us would be comfortable with an opinion that's different than our own.
No, I mean, people are not comfortable at all. It seems like, I don't know if this happened the last few years, but it's almost like, if you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, I have to disagree with everything you say, and it's like we somehow are drawing this line with our athletes now. And this goes back to the shut up and dribble thing, which these guys have Twitters with millions and millions of followers. You think they're just going to sit back and not say anything? They're not allowed to have opinions on stuff. We're allowed to hear what The Rock and Kim Kardashian have to say about society, but we're not allowed to hear what athletes have to say about it. And this, I always, you're going to laugh, I always think about that Jordan quote. What is it? Where he's like, Republicans buy shoes too, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
LeBron's always he obviously kind of says his opinion. I don't agree with everything he says, which is fine, but that doesn't really affect how I think about sports cards. I'm looking at him objectively as an athlete. I don't agree with everything he says. But on the whole of it, if we really want to dissect LeBron, what has he done wrong? Isn't he one of the more straight arrows that we have in sports? The guy's still, married to his high school sweetheart. He's got a great family. He built a freaking school. He's always fighting for, justice for his communities. I'm not sure exactly what we're talking about. Is it the China stuff again, or is this the Brittany Griner comment, which he even came out and said that his quote was taken out of context? But I'm not sure. I don't want him to stop. I think it keeps him. I actually think it keeps him more culturally relevant, to the point of, should Jordan say more? Maybe not. Maybe that's just not who he is. But LeBron being more active in the community, more active socially on Twitter and whatever, it keeps him more relevant. It might help him long term in terms of value. I don't know, but I'll just go back to he's a person. He's allowed to say what he wants. He's allowed to have his opinions. Let him. Who are we to say he's not allowed to say so? Isn't that what that's what America is, right? Give your opinion, say what you want. What antics are we talking about? People always say that. What are we talking about?
Yep, I agree, man. Look, I mean, not that it's the same, but lots of people trash Luka because they hate the way he looks and the way he complains to referees and how demonstrative he is. And, if only, he did this, that, or the other. I've always been one to just accept people as they are. And not only not only out of a sense of fairness to other people, who are just human beings, but also just because, man, that puts me at ease. And it doesn't, so then I'm not being stressed out about man, I wish this guy would do this and this guy would do that, so it's not anywhere on the scale of LeBron, who, I can only imagine how irritating it must be, quite honestly, to be putting opinions out into the world and then, have your entire persona constantly impugned for having an opinion. But dude, that isn't just politics, and that isn't just LeBron. That's social media. That's the comments section. That's message board culture. That's Twitter culture. That's why I love the Instagram story, because the Instagram story is just you on your bully pulpits, and if people want to reply to you, they have to send you a DM. But whereas on Twitter and stuff, people just reply. It's in thread. Anytime LeBron tweets something, I can just scroll right down and see all the different replies and the trolling and the nonsense that people are sending at him. And I can't even imagine what it must be like.
Well, do you ever get annoyed personally at people criticizing you? I'm not saying that you and I are LeBron in any stretch of the imagination, but like we've had our fair share of criticism. Does it ever bother you personally?
It does not bother me because I get it. I put myself in the other shoes, and I understand that, look, we put a lot of strong opinions out into the world. It's only reasonable to expect strong opinions to return. So I get it. And as I commented on Lameem James's post earlier this week, the only thing worse than being hated is being ignored.
He's been getting a lot directed at him about this baseball thing. I don't know if you follow that.
Yes.
But basically, he's like pointing out that a lot of these like young prospects that are worth a lot of money are, statistically like not having their best year. Mm-hmm. And he's like, this is the most DMs I've ever gotten. It's people just like destroying me.
Dude, there's a guy in baseball, made a post about him this week. His name's Paul Goldschmidt. The guy's finished runner-up for MVP twice, has the highest wins above replacement of any baseball player this year, and is the odds-on MVP favorite for NL MVP. By the way, baseball, they give out a lot of awards. You have an AL MVP, you have an NL MVP, you have all these Golden Gloves. But this guy is in prime position to take down the NL MVP award. His highest selling card ever was his Bowman Chrome Prospects autograph, red refractor out of 5, BGS 9.5 Auto 10 for $4,500.
Whoa!
And this guy's 34, career batting average of 300. Is he going to break any home run records, RBI records, stolen base records? No, he is not. He plays first base. But this guy is, one of the very best baseball players, and his best card is like 1% of some of these first, second, third year MLB players.
Yeah. Well, my father-in-law, his favorite player is Paul Goldschmidt, because Goldschmidt was a Diamondback. Like, he built most of his career from Arizona, so we know him pretty well here. And he came up late, so he was like an older player when he broke through. But my father-in-law was like, I need to buy some Paul Goldschmidt cards. So I was like helping him research those Bowmans. And then he made that post, and I was like, well, cat's out of the bag. Everyone knows about Paul Goldschmidt now.
No, I don't think it makes any difference. Dio says way too old. He is like 34.
What the heck? He's better than his stats are better than all those guys, right?
Dude, they're very impressive. He's got a really impressive resume. And look, here we're dipping a toe into baseball for you baseball freaks out there.
I mean, dude, you're speaking my language.
Damn it.
You're speaking my language with this Paul Goldschmidt stuff. He's kind of like the Chris Paul equivalent, right? Like, he's older. He's almost like having a little bit of a resurgence in his career later on. And if you look back, you're like, damn, he was pretty good analytically. He's got a lot of strong stats in his favor. Yes. How does that not appeal to more collectors? I'm not saying like go buy Chris Paul, but like
a team.
That seems like a fun thing to collect for me. It's like you're also able to like remove the prospecting side from it and just focus on collecting and finding the cards, right? And his rookie cards are from a ways back, so you can like really dig in and figure it out. It just seems more fun to me.
Wouldn't that be funny if like guys like us start getting into baseball?
No, it would not be funny.
We start collecting like Paul Goldschmidt and like we distort the base.
Would I like remember that one night I was drunk that night, but we were like talking about Barry Bonds and I was like, I'm starting a fucking Barry Bonds collection.
I do remember that. And you got a few cards.
I did. I had like one of his cards and I got super bored of that and sold it.
God, Ancash goes, please don't. That would be so annoying if like we come in and we're just like, yeah, pitchers, pitchers. Like
we just like
I see my angle.
I don't.
It's like
why don't baseball collectors collect pitchers? It's just like hockey. They don't collect goalies. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because they only play one every 5 days. Christina, come on.
But goalies don't. So like it
Well,
doesn't.
here you go.
It doesn't make sense.
Let's play a game.
Are
Let's play the
goalies
game.
valuable?
Speaking of pitchers, all right, I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this guy. He threw, I believe the fastest pitch he ever threw was clocked at 307 miles an hour.
He threw 500 no-hitters. Did you know that?
All right, this is a PSA 10 Pop 1.
Whoa.
His rookie card, which he shares with Jerry Koosman, but who I understand was also a good player, but not a great one.
Whoa.
Nolan Ryan. All right, PSA 10 Pop 1. This card sold in 2020. All right, so
For how much?
well, sorry for that close up. All right, I want you to guess. So it sold in August. It sold in August of 2020. What do
Okay,
you
guess.
think it went for?
Fuck. Oh my god. This is like, if I'm wrong, I'm gonna be way off because I feel like it's in the 100,000s.
This is tough. This is a
I'll
Pop.
say like Pop 1 Nolan Ryan, dude. Those baseball guys know that they'll be all over a card like that. I feel like it's over $1 million.
Okay, the price was 600,000 at auction with Golden. But its card ladder value today is 1.9 million.
Whoa.
Its grade ratio value is 1.6 million. So
Wow.
I think, when both of those values line up like that, it's a pretty good indicator.
That doesn't feel like crazy to me because it's Nolan Ryan's best card and it's a Pop 1. It's like the Julius Erving Pop 1, you know?
Yeah, and that's to the topic of pitchers. There's a pitcher who has, that's like having a logo man. Well, I don't know what's the equivalent in baseball. Having the one of one, RPA or the Topps Chrome Superfractor one of one. That's like that card because it's a Pop 1. It's a PSA Pop 1.
I'm giggling over here because this is what happens when you have off-season basketball and football. You get us dissecting the baseball. Let's talk about hockey. Let's go.
Oh, dude, no. I'm not ready for hockey.
Oh,
I like hockey better than baseball.
Chris was on Hockey Cards Gong Show this week.
The Hockey Gong Show.
That's what I said.
Yeah, and it was fun. Really nice guys, cool hockey collectors. Tried to have something to say. Okay, all right. So nice, fun little baseball rabbit hole there. Let's get back to the questions. Frankie 3500. Frankie 3500 has a big question. He says, "At what point does your side PC actually become your main PC?"
I saw your story on that one. You just had, that's the first thing I thought of was like side piece.
Stop.
Just throw it, like we're going to get tomato, hit him in the side of the head.
Oh god.
No, I was gonna say like this was like when I started collecting Kleba, I would always say like Kleba's my side PC. Don't tell Luca. Like that was always my like line.
How dare you?
Well, let me jump in. I feel like your Christian McCaffrey PC is like far and away your best PC, like pound for pound, of the player.
Yep.
So like, do you consider your Christian McCaffrey PC to be your like primary, what people would recognize you for?
I'm not ready to do that yet because I don't have either of McCaffrey's two best cards, which
What a bum.
Yes, that's a big problem. I don't have his NT Shield Platinum 1 of 1, and I don't have his Prism Black Finite 1 of 1, which are his two best cards. However, I do have Nikola Jokic's best card. So
You need to marry those two.
I would love for, but so there's like all different types of PCs. I have a LeBron PC that I'm very proud of that includes a Prism Gold PSA 10, a Prism insert from the same year 9.5, some other smaller LeBrons that are sprinkled in as well. The Luka PC, I don't even think we have a card in the Luka PC that would be a top 10 Luka card, but we have some that are probably like top 25-ish, maybe.
The gold is top 10, bro.
Gold?
Yeah, gold is
The
top
gold
10.
Prism is top 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you have the NT Logoman RPA 1 of 1, same for Flawless and Immaculate. So you have those three. You have the Prism Black 1 of 1. That's 4.
Nebula.
Prism Nebula is definitely better than Prism Gold as well.
You ain't getting the 10. It's okay. You can brag. You can brag. It's okay.
Gold is easily number 6 there.
Yeah, it's like 6 or 7 at worst. Like, even if you found something,
So we have one top 10 Luka card, which is cool, but doesn't. We're not in the running for being the best Luka collector. And then Jordan-wise, it's even more humble. But as a percentage of the value of our collection, Jordan is the highest, then Luka, then Jokic, then McCaffrey. So it's funny how that works. Like, definitely have the most good cards of McCaffrey, then have one spectacular card of Jokic. And then,
Well, actually, we have the most good cards of Maxi Kleba. But,
yeah, that's true.
But his entire...
He doesn't have that many awesome cards, though.
Yeah, that's the problem with him.
Yes. He doesn't have...
It's not even his fault.
No, but he has the select black.
He has a select die cut one. But we also have that card for McCaffrey.
But that select die cut black would be like... It's like, even in the tier of Luka's, it's less. Like, that would be below the Prism Gold.
Yeah, but it's Maxi's best card.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. His best card, like, he doesn't have that many great cards. But if the question was, what percentage of a player's best cards do we have the most of? It's McCaffrey. It's Kleba.
Maxi, yeah. Kleba. When
that's
I
like a
say
big
Maxi, people think I always mean Tyrese. And I'm like, no, I'm not that cool.
Okay, so, Josh, at what point does a side PC become a main PC? Is Chris Paul a main PC for you? Do you have co-main PCs? No. Or is LeBron the main PC and Hardaway and Paul are the sides?
No, LeBron and Hardaway are co-champions of the main PC. Those two, my Instagram used to be King Penny PC. I'll never give that up. Those are my 2 favorite players of all time. They both wear number 6 for the Olympics. Those are my favorite players.
Okay.
But Chris Paul is very close third.
You know what? Main PC is a mindset. Main PC is when you think of your collection.
It's your opinion.
Yes. What is the defining heart of it?
100%.
Yeah. So, but I love that question, Frankie. Frankie, what's your main PC versus?
I feel like
what's your answer?
Yeah, I feel like he's got a little something going on the side, and he's feeling guilty.
Frankie wants to get permission to give more attention to that side PC.
It's probably a LeBron PC.
Well, what's funny is that, like, when we first started collecting, it was, like, only Jordan, and then we brought in Luka, and, like, it became the guest house to the house of Jordan. So Luka was the side PC, who then became a main PC.
Wow.
So, like, oh my god, I fucking hate you.
So how do you rank them then? Rank them.
It goes
you rank them.
MJ, Luka, Jokic, and then tied for 4th is McCaffrey and Kleba. Because I also think of those as side PCs because we kind of do them separately.
I feel like you don't have enough Jokic to do that, but...
Yeah, I know. That's what's hard about that.
You do have a lot of the Prism Golds, and you obviously got the big banger. But he doesn't have a National Treasures RPA. Ugh.
He does. The next best Jokic card is the Immaculate Logo Man autograph 1 of 1.
You don't have an Immaculate out of 99, though?
Nope. Don't even want one. I don't even know if I want the Prism Golds. I don't even know if I want those. What if I just had a 1-card PC of Jokic?
That's like not a... It's almost like you're trying out different strategies with each player, which is kind of cool.
Totally. No, that's exactly what's happening.
You're like, oh, Luka, nice mix of rookies. Jordan, nice mix of like 90s, like non-rookie stuff. Not super high-end. Jokic, 1 fucking banger. McCaffrey, only the 1-on-1 rookie. It's like very, very, very different for each player. It's cool.
Yep, totally. And then
that's why you need Akeem. You need Akeem. Round it out.
I do think about Akeem. And Le'Veon Bell is just amazing because, like, when his best cards do pop up, it's a couple $100. It's a couple $100 fucking bucks. I'm going to casually have the best Le'Veon Bell PC within a year or two. Casually. It's just, all right, anyway.
Is that like when the announcers are like, he's got a quiet 34 points tonight.
Yes, exactly. This is going to be a quiet PC.
I hate when they say that, by the way. Like, it hasn't been quiet. I've seen him score 34.
All right, Northwood Cards Collector. Back to the topic of the National. How do you think this National will be remembered? When I think of last year's National, I think of some of the most cash deals I've ever seen, which is what you also said earlier. So many people, so many after events, and I think of picking up a huge PC grail. This National will have big shoes to fill to beat out last year for me personally. But do you think this National could live up to or beat last year's based on market, location, and attendance?
Well, as someone that's living this, I won't use the word nightmare, but I want to say it, but Christina's listening. As someone who's living this, I'm going to think of this as the after party National. There's like a million events. There's more things happening after the National each day that happens with the National.
Which is a little bit problematic just because we need good quality time on the casino floor.
I want to know what he was going to say, but he said Christina's listening.
I think.
Oh, wow. I think it was that, that I have to tell you that I love going to all these after party events, but what Kristen said, I'd prefer to just play craps. But no, there are so many really good events, and like a lot of them like overlap. There's so many because there's just not enough days.
Maybe National needs to be longer.
I wouldn't hate that.
I feel like it's going to be remembered as the last National at Atlantic City. Because so many people are going to be like, oh my God, this is not as good as Chicago. And like there'll be more of an uproar than ever. Because this is the first time that we've had a National at Atlantic City since like way before, most people came into the hobby. So
yeah.
The one of one Atlantic City National for a lot of people.
Let me tell you guys something though. It's almost like Atlantic City was set up for me because number one, I don't fly into anywhere anyway. So it makes no difference to me whatsoever that it's difficult for people to fly in because I'm driving in no matter what. And it's a one-day drive for me. Number two, oceanfront. Love oceanfront. Check. 3, casinos galore. Absolutely perfect. So we've checked 3 great boxes for me. So maybe low-key, I'm kind of liking AC as a destination for the National.
You're the guy who, when everyone else shits on it, like me, you're like, I kind of like it. But we actually don't know. I keep hearing all these stories and that the vibe is like, it's kind of sketchy. So
that's 100% correct. Dude, we went to AC in 2016, and dude, you don't want to be walking the blocks of Atlantic City when the sun ain't out.
You don't want to be walking the blocks of Atlantic City when it's high noon. Like,
I just don't know what that means until I get there, kind of thing. Because I live in suburbia, Arizona. That sentence has never come out of my mouth. I don't know what that means.
Well, look, this is going to be a great life experience.
That is going to be an educational National for a lot of people.
I think you guys...
Go ahead.
I think you guys need to leave me to my own and just let me figure it out. I don't need the protection of, Big Nick and Chris. I don't need that. Just let me be... Me and Zane will get fucking jumped. It'll be great.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, except Josh, like, I kind of need you to not be dead. Like, for business purposes, please. Like,
I feel like I'll stick with David. David Owens will get my back.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt David is intimately familiar with navigating Atlantic City. Just call that a hunch.
He just seems like someone that, when things get sketch, he seems like someone that's going to bust out some device and it's going to get
oh my God, I was just thinking he like slams his foot down on the pavement and a knife comes out of the toes of his
yes.
shoe.
Yes. That's even better. Yes, that's perfect. Ooh. But you didn't know I had a knife come out of my shoe?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. All right. Blades of Steel says, have you ever been grateful that nothing pops up in your saved search because you need a break.
No, I thought it was more about like what we talked about earlier, where you're tired of seeing the cards you own continue to sell. But that one's good too, especially right now, because it's like I need that cash for National. Please have nothing come up so I can save and don't tempt me. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know if I can get all the way on board with that.
You're just a buy a card whenever kind of guy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But, I can be patient. I can be patient, but, like, would I love to see the Christian McCaffrey Prism Black 1 of 1 pop up for auction somewhere? Like, yes. I'll never regret if that card pops up.
Sure.
Okay.
But the thought is, like, if you knew the McCaffrey 1 of 1 was at National, and then another card of, like, a Luka popped up on eBay, and you only had the money for one, that's kind of the spirit of the question.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, he can go after the McCaffrey, and I'll go after the Luka.
Divide and conquer. Okay.
Second mortgage, we're fine.
We'll be fine.
Andrew Kesey says, can we talk in any way, shape, or form about collecting PSA slabs with original typewriter font? They seem very hard to come by. Also mention SGC green labels. Also, one more thing I need to be spoken on is Josh Giddey. Thank you. So 1 PSA typewriter labels, 2 SGC green labels, 3 Josh Giddey.
Those old labels of PSA are pretty sick.
I love those old labels.
So do I. I love
And the
the
plastic.
vintage. It makes the whole slab when it's the vintage card with that.
Yes, it has to be vintage card. Yes.
Yes.
Let me
And
get
it
a good
makes
example.
the plastic on those is a lot heavier too. I don't know if that matters for this discussion, but I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, this is the example. All right. This is the example.
Yes.
Yes, those are so sick.
Like they should only put. They should go back and put the typewriter font on all vintage cards.
Okay, so that's the example. So, all right, we talked about that. SGC green labels. Do you have any particular feelings about those?
No, I think a lot of people like that switch. The other one is the BGS subgrades on the back.
Those are cool. I like those. I definitely like those. I'm trying to really quick find it.
There's even older ones where I've seen a card where it had 3 10 subgrades and a 9.5 subgrade, and it was overall graded a 9.5. That's how old it was.
Nice.
Like they didn't have the 10 yet.
Here's an SGC green label of a 62 Topps Willie Mays SGC 9 back when their scale of 1 through 100 was how they did things. I think it looks pretty nice.
I don't know enough about the SGC community to speak on this one.
Yeah, but
I got it wrong though. It was before the black label. It was 4 10 subgrades, and it was like a gold pristine 10. It wasn't a black. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. But pre-black label.
Pre-black label. I got it wrong. It was 4 10 subgrades, and it was just a regular old BGS 10 pristine.
Now, on the topic of Josh Giddey, let's cite Bill Simmons and his website is just killing me with
his trade. Where did he put him on his? You talking about the trade list?
Yes,
Perfect.
What did he call this? He called this NBA Trade Value List Summer 2022 edition. He has Josh Giddey's trade value. Remember, Giddey was a rookie last year.
Yep.
Josh Giddey's trade value is number 51 overall in the NBA. So here's some of the players who are ahead of him. 50, Tyler Hero. 49, Jordan Poole. 48, Desmond Bane. And here's some of the players who are behind him. 52, Franz Wagner. 53, R.J. Barrett. 54, Jaren Jackson Jr.
And you got to remember that list is not the ranking of players
Correct.
like overall skill. It's like taking into account their age and their contract and their prospect for the future.
Yes, his methodology, which I think is a good one, basically boils down to this. Players who are higher are ones that the teams who have those players under contract would not trade for somebody who's lower.
Yep, it's a really fun like thing that he invented, and it ends up being really cool content. That's what I love about Simmons is that he can make rankings interesting where, we're tired of seeing the same rankings over and over,
Yep, really enjoyed it. Good stuff. Okay, so do you want to say anything else about Josh Giddey?
I've actually never. No.
You remember that show with Corey and Topanga? What's that show called?
Are you fucking Boy Meets World? It's like the best show ever.
Okay, I don't know about that. Pump the brakes.
They just came out with they're doing a podcast.
Frasier? All right.
They're doing a podcast, and we're listening to it. They're like going back and doing a podcast.
Does he, all right, so just look, doesn't he give these vibes?
John Hunter, he does. He does look like him.
Okay, because that's my comp for Josh Giddey. And that's why he's going to be a great investment. No, I'm not saying that. Matter of fact, I wonder how Josh Giddey Prism cards are selling.
I haven't seen him. I haven't sat down and watched him play, so I don't want to speak on his basketball acumen.
So, Josh, are you rewatching Boy Meets World on Disney Plus as well?
Well, we already did last year, but this is have you heard of Office Gals?
Yeah.
It's like that, but for Boy Meets World. So it's Sean, Topanga, and Eric. The three of them are going episode by episode. It's pretty interesting.
What's the name of the teacher next door?
Feeney.
Mr. Feeney.
And Feeney used to deliver those hard-hitting lessons.
That's a great show, man. That's a really good show.
All right, so the highest-selling Josh Giddey card on public record is this Gold Wave.
That's a shimmer.
I'm sorry, Gold Shimmer.
Which is out of 10.
Number to 10 from Prism this year. Want to take a guess? Sold 3 days ago.
$4,000.
7,500. 7,500. So,
guess how many parallels are in Prism basketball this year?
46.
51.
51.
No.
How many?
58.
Oh, hello. Wasn't it 46 last year?
It was 46 in 2020 Prism. In 2021, according to the checklist listed on Beckett, it is 58. So they added a dozen new parallels.
How exhausting.
Okay. Corner taken quickly. Also, here's the bull case for Josh Giddey. He's about to be on a team that has Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Trey Mann and some really great young pieces, really exciting young core. Lou Dort just got a nice contract. I like their team. I definitely will be watching games of theirs randomly when they're on League Pass. So there, Giddey could be a fun player to watch.
So his ceiling is Klay Thompson or Chris Bosh?
Those are high ceilings. Those are borderline top 75 all-time ceilings. I don't know if he's that good.
Ceiling.
So, all right. Corner taken quickly says, can you share any info on the change in the number of sales per day over time? Obviously, values have come down, but I'm curious if the overall number of sales each day is falling, steady, or rising. So a little bit earlier, we talked about the metric that Card Ladder does publish in an aggregate form is total daily sales volume for the 30,000 or so cards that are in the Ladder database. That's easily accessible from Card Ladder's dashboard. I highly recommend switching to logarithmic view to look at that. But outside of that, we don't publish aggregate numbers. We do publish how many sales we verify every day. We do publish how many total sales dump into the sales history feature every day. But Josh, you want to shed any more light at this time on number of sales per day? How is it trending over time?
Yeah, so I've been plotting the total, not just what you guys verify, which you talked about already. And June was down significantly from May. I think it was like 230 million of total in May and like 194 for June. So it was down quite a bit.
Yeah, and May was the highest month
Ever. Yeah.
But how does May line up to like April, March, February?
It was like kind of like a steady up to May, and then June came down back a lot.
I'm sorry. How does June compare to April, March, and February? Higher, lower, similar?
It was lower than I think April, but like around the range of March, February.
Got it. Okay.
It was trending up and then sharp back down.
All right. So the next question is from John Z's PC. I had fun going down this rabbit hole. He said, "Did you guys notice Panini Photogenic basketball?"
Yes.
Christina says yes. Josh, did you notice it?
I saw your stories.
Here's what this product is brand new this year. I like Jalen Green as the cover athlete. I think he's my favorite prospect out of this draft class. These hobby boxes can be had for $290 on David Adams. They can be had for $240 on StockX. StockX often has really good prices on stuff like this. And then I pulled up the 3 best-selling cards from this product. First place was the LeBron 1 of 1, which is a neat card. You can see why they call it photogenic. It's based on having cool photos. The LeBron 1 of 1 sold for $2,750. Highest selling card from Photogenic to date. The second highest was this Luka, which is a pretty cool looking card as well. This sold for $2,000. The Luka 1 of 1.
Just him standing there?
Just him standing there in an empty stadium. In warm-ups. Looking thick. And then the third highest selling card is this Curry, which I think this is maybe the coolest photo of the 3, just because I know what it refers to. This is Curry doing one of his trick shots from the up high in the tunnel in the stands, shooting a 3 before a game. This sold for $1,900.
I really like that ranking you just laid out. LeBron, then Luka, then Curry. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that ranking. Not mad at that ranking one bit. But it was cool that all 3 1 of 1 sold.
Right.
And I'd love to own all 3 of those, to be honest with you. So cool product. But first year of the product might be the last year of the product. You never know when they bust out these new products. You just never.
The Atlantic City upsets.
All right. BNOR14 Sports Card says, everyone can agree that the ultimate best outcome for a Grail card is that it ends up in the dark hole of a true collector's PC. But what happens? Julie goes, isn't that Nick Wright's rankings?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
He said that Luka's going to be top 10 all time today on the show.
He needs to pump the brakes on that. He had him at 20 all time. He didn't even have Jokic in the top 50, by the way.
He's already better than Oscar Robertson. It's amazing.
He needs to slow the fuck down on that. All right. But what happens when there are more true collectors than cards available? For example, if there are 11 collectors that want a Prism Gold and they would never sell it if they acquired it, then is the 11th guy just shit out of luck?
Yes.
Just a devil's advocate question to support the idea that maybe seeing grails come to auction isn't always a bad thing.
Well, this is just a simple supply and demand situation because there's definitely more than 315 people who want a PSA 10 Jordan Fleer, right? It's it's just a matter of who's going to pay the most. That's kind of a lame, boring answer. What's the thought behind it's good to have a bunch of them hit auction? It gives more collectors opportunities to snag them. Is that the thought?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep. Fair point. Not much to kick around there. Thoughtful question and fair point. Okay, Crypto Collect says this question confused me a little bit. Maybe you can help me diffuse this or dissect this question. I'm currently reading the book Atomic Habits. Have you heard of this book?
I don't read books.
Have you heard of this book? it is a very popular book right now. It has almost 100,000 reviews on Amazon. I had to go look this up.
Wow.
All right. This book speaks to how we as people tend to act based off intimidating the close, the group, or the powerful. I don't know what that means, but
imitating?
Maybe it is. No, I don't know. It goes in relation to sports cards on Instagram. I tend to see intimidating the group and the powerful heavily represented. That fucking doesn't make sense to me. So, but then here it comes together. How do we encourage more people to Crypto, I'm going to need you to slow down next time.
Of course it's fucking Crypto.
No, we love Crypto Collects. Great commenter, great, participant in the show.
He got really excited.
He was fired up.
Yeah.
But basically, how do we encourage more people to share more of their close? This is the question it boils down to. How do we encourage more people to share more of their close or their personal cards and their stories? That's what he wants to know.
Yeah. I mean, this whole real thing that you kind of start, I mean, you didn't start it, but you got a few people excited about it. It's just we just have to be the ones to maybe lead the charge of sharing, not just I don't actually mean we, all of the people listening, the collectors, go and freaking post your cards more and share stories of you thumbing through your collection, reels, whatever, have fun with it. Because I mean, that's the easiest way to really reinvigorate your excitement for the hobby and having fun is go grab your cards and start filming them. Because I can't tell you how many of the stories I go through where it's yeah, just show me the cards, more cards, less, content, giveaways, and you traveling around, just post the cards.
Yeah, I always stop, especially if somebody's made a nice video where there's kind of...
You hold it.
Yeah, yep. That always catches me. Okay, Mad City Collector says, any overreactions to the NBA Summer League? Would you change the draft order based on Summer League? Are you excited by any of the young teams in the upcoming season?
Nope, not overreacting at all. I wouldn't change the order if I were those teams.
Yeah.
Exciting young teams. The Magic kind of got a little squad going. If obviously that it depends on Paulo, becoming a superstar, but they got a pretty nice little squad.
Can I say I was impressed by the Kings. They played like a team, which I was oh, look, the Sacramento Kings could really use some team players. So I was impressed by that.
Yeah, plus I didn't realize that Keegan Murray, I think that's the name of the Kings prospect.
Yep.
I didn't realize he's almost 22, but he has probably been the best player in the Summer League. And he's fantastic. Dude, it's so funny, too. So you have Banchero, Holmgren, and Murray, and Jabari.
Yep.
And these guys are all 6'10" or higher. And they all shoot threes, and they all block shots, and they all kind of play positionless basketball. This is the new era of the athlete. Everybody is shooting, everybody is hyper athletic, everybody is protecting the rim. And then we have an even more refined iteration of that prototype who will inevitably be the number 1 pick next draft, Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, I've heard all the puns about tanking for him and stuff. Simmons loves those puns.
I have a question. How old is LeBron's kid?
He's a junior in high school.
So he will be a junior this upcoming year?
I believe so.
For some reason, every year, I think this will be the draft year.
No,
just maybe because everyone talks about him, but
he's not even a high prospect.
No, I know, but everyone keeps talking about oh, LeBron said he's gonna play with him, so anyone's gonna draft him to get LeBron. No?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No, I think that's a media thing mostly, but he's not high enough ranked. To get into the actual NBA, yeah, this is probably obvious, but you have to be really, really good. You have to be top 0.5%. It's really, really hard to get in the NBA. I think he's committed to Duke or whatever, but at this rate, he's going to be riding the bench.
Okay. Mad City Collector says, which rookie or second-year player, do you think will be the next analytics darling? So to help answer this question, I went to my favorite catch-all metric, which is 538's Raptor, and I sorted them by 538's wins above replacement. I narrowed the field to rookies 1 year. The highest is Herb Jones.
Wow.
Second, Scotty Barnes. Third, Franz Wagner. Fourth, Austin Reeves. Fifth, Bones Highland. Sixth, Chris Duarte. Seven, Evan Mobley. 8, Davion Mitchell. 9, Cade Cunningham. And tied for ninth is also Josh Giddey. So there's a good place to start your hunt for analytics darlings.
Yeah, my two were going to be Scotty Barnes, before you showed that, Scotty Barnes and Chet Holmgren, because Chet's going to have the 3-point ball, he's going to have the blocks, he's going to have a little bit of everything, and he's going to be efficient. He's a high percentage shooter, good free throw shooter. Chet's going to be, I think, a good analytical player.
Yeah, Keegan Murray had the second highest PER in NCAA history, so he'd be one to watch as well.
Yep.
Drake's PC says, assume that another person has a card you want of a player you collect, but not someone they collect. They tell you that they only want to trade for the players they collect, but you don't have those cards in your collection. How do you approach this type of situation and end up with the card that you want?
Whenever someone says that they'll only trade for one of their players, they always will take a cash deal because they don't have any emotional attachment to the player, always. So just make a big cash offer and just get it over with. That person is totally call their bluff. They always are like, oh yeah, I want to trade this card. No, if they get a cash offer they like, they'll take it.
Be careful to I've been sent down a rabbit hole or two before trying to get a card from somebody who wanted to do a trade. And they were like, if you had this card and this card and this card, then I'd trade. And then I start looking and trying to pick up those cards. And then, at least on one occasion, the person who I was considering doing the trade with was like, yeah, I don't really know if I want those anymore. I'm not sure if I want to do the trade. So, I'd gone pretty far down a negotiation rabbit hole with the guy going back and forth, only for the person who asked me to go get those cards to do the trade to get cold feet and not really want to do the trade anymore. So that's like a worst case scenario is where you go down the rabbit hole, you go get the cards that the other person says they want, and then they change their mind.
Right.
So, and plus you can waste a lot of time trying to hunt down cards that you don't even want, but maybe you can have fun doing it. I'd avoid it. All right, Nice Looking Cardboard says, when you're chasing a rare card that's on your wish list, would you take a version of the card when it pops up, no matter what the grade is, or do you hold out for at least a 9 or a 10?
I mean, for me, it depends on the card. If it's like a 90s penny card, the grade doesn't matter. But if it's like a LeBron, later year tops, the grade does matter for me. It just depends on the array of grades you're looking at for. It's like the penny slam bams. If I found a BGS 2, I would buy it right now. But LeBron 2009 Topps Chrome Gold, I'm looking. I don't want a PSA 8. I wouldn't buy it. Or PSA BGS 85. I need a higher grade on that one.
Good. Okay, the 615 Collector says, we talk about the value of modern day players and how they compare to the value of cards of legends from the past. And often the modern day hype results in card players capturing much higher values than older players. So my question is, do you think 20 years from now, these modern day players' cards are destined for lower values as the players become less relevant and the modern day players of that era garner the hype? Obviously, there will be exceptions for the very select few that reach the status of Jordan, LeBron, Brady, Mantle, etc.
Yes, all of those players will go down. But the part of this that I want to bring up for the answer to this question is that they won't go down overnight. It's more of a gradual sort of decline over time downward. Dude, 95% of those guys. Just look at Aaron Rodgers, Tim Duncan, Chris Paul. I could just rattle off names of guys that are elite Hall of Fame status that are cheaper than Justin Herbert. Pick a basketball player that Tim Duncan's cheap. It's just ridiculous. But like I've come to accept that's the way it works in this hobby. Is people get excited about prospecting that they're going to be the next, Brady, LeBron, Jordan, whatever. But eventually, yes, they all sort of go down. Just just pick anybody like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Blake Griffin. Just like pick guys that were superstars, and then all of a sudden they sort of slowly go down in value.
And there's almost nothing that they can do to stop it.
Right.
So if you were to go into a laboratory and invent the perfect first 5 years of an NFL career, it would look pretty damn similar to Patrick Mahomes' first 5 years.
Yep.
This guy is at the absolute elite echelon of every conceivable metric of what makes a great quarterback, including an MVP, including a Super Bowl MVP, including a Super Bowl title, including 2 Super Bowl appearances, making super deep playoff runs all the time. Like, Patrick Mahomes is the best case scenario. And here's what Mahomes' total market index looks like. Okay. This is set to all-time view. And obviously it's had a tremendous run-up because he was a nobody coming into the draft. And the current value of his index is 54,000, which just means it's increased 54-fold since 2017. But, taking a look at the last 2 years here, his index experienced a tremendous jump in value from September that happened during September of last year when some of his monster cards sold and caused the index to leapfrog up. And then it kept climbing, it kept taking steps up, and it peaked in January of this year at around 85,000. And today, some of those bigger cards have sold again, and they got, they took serious beatings. And now his index value has settled back down to 54,000. So if this is the 2-year trajectory, and if this is the all-time trajectory of Patrick Mahomes, that's like the best case scenario.
Is Luka basically the same thing?
Luka is almost scary how similar his and Mahomes' indexes look. So Luka's index all-time looks like this, very similar to Mahomes. If you zoom in to 2 years, looks like this. Luka's pricing, in other words, has returned to November of 2020 pricing.
And he's got the furthest he's ever gotten since then in the playoffs.
Yep.
He's made another first-team All-NBA.
Yep.
To your point, it's like, if I said to you, you can cover yours, but Luka's prices, based on what we know, are probably going to keep going down a little bit, slowly, and he's going to get better. It's like you said, it's not even their fault. There's nothing they can even do.
Yep. And it speaks to, and it's not even this, some of this is total market correction, to be sure, but it's not only, prospects. It's any time a player or their cards get overheated. So look, doesn't this,
Yep.
This looks a bit like the Mahomes and the Luka. This is
Yep.
Steph Curry. This is
And he won a championship. He was the champion. Point to the championship. Where's the championship?
This is Steph Curry over the last 2 years. So again, you can have the absolute best case scenario, and what ultimately happens is that I think markets just get overheated, and then they have to cool down. This hobby is this market is somewhat bipolar. It's not slow and steady. It's polar. It goes to different extremes and it oscillates back and forth. And what you hope for is some level of stability to set in.
What do you say to the person, because I feel like all the questions we get are what's the market going to do post-national? What's it going to do over the next 6 months, 3 months? What do you say to the person who comes to you and asks that rare question of how do you feel about spending as much money as you do? Do you feel comfortable with, should I feel comfortable spending that amount of money over the next 20 years? Some insane number that you you can't give a real good answer, but like it's basically asking what do you feel about the hobby, in super, 10,000 foot view, sky view.
I'm so easy that you put it that way because that's exactly where I was going to go with this. I picture myself when I romanticize my self-concept of myself as a collector. I picture myself as that guy. Think about this. 20 years ago, roughly, there were people swooping up, the Ultimate Collection, LeBron, vertical and horizontal 1-of-1 as those cards were coming out. And there were people swooping up the exquisite, there's not a RPA 1-of-1, but there is a base 1-of-1. There's people swooping up the Jordan big cards from that set. And, even going back to the late 90s, there was people swooping up the PMG greens and just tucking them away. The PMG green that Nat won had been in that collection since the late 90s, okay? It took 20 years for that card to come out and for Nat to win it. And at the time it came out, that was around a $10,000 card, which was a preposterously large sum for a modern 90s card. And then, it sells for $350,000 20 years later. That's who I think I am when I do stuff like buy that Jokic Prism Black. I'm the guy who's taking that card away for 20 plus years. That's who I am. That's how I collect. I collect from the point of view of like, I'm trying to get cards that I get and then they will never be seen again for 20 or until I let them out. That's how I collect. So, I want the pride, the prestige of being the collector who goes after this, because those are the collectors that I've always looked up to. Those are collectors that I've always admired. Those guys who have these cards they've had for 20, 25, 30 years, 10, 15 years, and they just slowly amass these absolute treasure chests of collections over many, many years. That's the collector I hope to be one day.
Yeah, when I after I graduated college and I started learning like how to save my money, how to build up things over time, how to get better at my career slowly. I always approached things and all of the things that I learned and read about over the years and all the people that taught me, how to improve at life basically. It was always just like having this long outlook. It always was that way. Like everyone was always telling me, you need to think about things long term, invest in stuff slowly, build up your income slowly, build up your your net worth, all this stuff. And then 2020 happened, and everything was just like, oh, you got to do this today. You got to invest in crypto. You got to buy cards and triple your. And I was just like, what is this? What is happening? When did all this stuff happen? And you and I were just like leading this carrying this flag of like, this is not sustainable. This is not gonna work out long term. And then we've seen like middle finger graphs just across the board, stocks, crypto, cards, everything. And I feel like now it's finally time to get back to reality of like, guys, this stuff takes a long time. Everything. You can't just like buy Bitcoin and like be a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. Like reality is that you have to build stuff up over time, no matter what it is. And people are gonna have to go back to work and learn how to like do things over 5 years instead of being the master crypto flipper and being a millionaire overnight. So I look forward to this period of going back to like doing things slowly and building up, organically and, becoming a master of things over years and not days. So that's a rant that I'm done.
Onkesh says, to me, it's a game of procurement. You will get rewarded over time for patience, knowledge, and efforts in this industry, but it's not overnight. So that's the ideal state, I think, as well. And so that dovetails nicely into the next question, also from the 615 collector. I hear collectors say all the time that they don't care about the financial value of their collection. And on the one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, does anybody truly not care about the value of their cards? Honest question. I realize some may not sell anything regardless of value, but also I feel like the value is part of the attraction. It's not the only thing, but it can be one of the things. And what makes something more collectible, what makes something more collectible, so not sure you can really separate value from the equation. So what are your thoughts on this? Because maybe another way to look at it is, if there's a 1-of-1 NT card of your favorite player that sold for 25 cents, would you feel the same way about it versus if it sold for 100,000? And so here's my first, I had like one snap reaction to this, which was that I think there's a distinction here that gets smoothed over because this is a common sense intuition. That's like, how can you say that you don't care about the value of your cards? You know, is this just smells? This doesn't pass the smell test. This smells like BS. But here's the thing. I think what people mean when they say that, it's not that they don't care about the value of their cards. What they're saying is they don't care if they get rich off of these cards. They obviously don't want them to tank in value. They obviously don't want them to lose value. I think what they mean is, I would be perfectly content if this card was just a store of value. If this card just it never moved market-wise. Just what I paid for it 10 years ago, I could sell it for today. And obviously, if you get into the nuances of that, like you're actually losing money based on inflation, based on the opportunity cost of money, but so let's not get too, nuanced on this. That the gist of the person who's saying, I don't care about value, I think what that person is ultimately saying is, I'm not buying this card for the purpose of generating a profit off of it. I'm buying this card because I hope that it can store value, but more importantly, I value the card more than the money.
Yep. I'll expand on it. That's a really good answer that I hadn't thought of, but I'll expand by saying, like cards are like the cards you own, the cards we're talking about are never actually going to go to zero. That's not how markets work. Like you're never actually going to, unless, like something, super crazy happens, but we're never actually talking about going to zero. So that's why collectors can confidently say that, as like, if this went to zero, because it never actually would. So they can just say that and get a good soundbite out of it. But the thing I wanted to add on to what you said is that to me, it's like, as a collector of a specific card, I'm just always going to value this more than whatever the current market value of it is at that time. I value it more than anyone else that is willing to pay for this. That's how I took it. Like this card as a collection, as a collector's item for myself, I just am always going to, like if it gets cut in half and that's the new reality, and like us as collectors have to accept this is the new reality, I still value it more than, this new reality of what everyone else is willing to pay.
Absolutely. And I like this point too from Spurs Cards 21. If I didn't buy cards, I'd spend it on something stupid and lose way more money. That's exactly right.
I was just going to say, one of the things that, Hoj and I, would do, especially when we were in Los Angeles and, he was in school, was we would go to the card shop and spend money on boxes and, buy singles. And that was, our entertainment. We didn't go to movies and expensive dinners or, things like that. And, to me, that pure, enjoyment and, just the pure joy that comes from the cards in that way, it didn't matter if we hit something big in the box, because to me, it was a sunk cost anyway. If I wasn't spending it on cards, we would have just been at a restaurant or gone to a movie, and it was an experience, and there was no value in that afterwards anyway.
Got it.
So, yeah. So I don't care if my cards go down to zero. I'm still happy with them. Because each one is an experience and, tells a story.
Plus, totally rude. And adding on to what you said, I did a semi-rant about this last week where, we live in the best era of the world ever. We have everything. Everything is I know that real estate's expensive, rent is expensive, but on the whole, stuff is so cheap and you can get happiness for not that much money. So like, if once you have your mortgage covered, your bills and stuff like that, like, what are you gonna do with your extra money? Like, other stuff just doesn't make us happy, and this does. So like, we don't see there's not like a downside to being like, yeah, I'll dump a bunch of money in cards. You gotta spend it on something, and it's more fun than just having it parked in a, some boring stock market thing that you can actually enjoy it a different way. So
Yeah, I love that point. That was really, really good from both of you guys. And there's it's going out and racking up a bar tab of $300 hurts so much more when you're a collector because you just say to yourself like, fuck, dude, I could have bought half of Le'Veon Bell's Prism Gold Run. And instead I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and piss out $300 worth of liquor.
That's a crude way of saying it. I'm going to piss out all my money because the alcohol just runs right through me.
That's when you're this hobby's got its tentacles wrapped around you.
It's really hard to explain this to a younger person because like it's so true that as you get older you get more like specific about what you like and what you don't like, and you generally learn to to spend less of your money over time on stuff that really doesn't you don't care to impress your neighbor anymore. You just don't give a shit. You don't care about spending, money on expensive alcohol. You just sit and buy a 12-pack of Truly and that'll keep you happy, right? Like, you learn to become more efficient with your money and buy stuff that you actually enjoy, not what you think needs to impress people around you. And so because of that, because we're getting older, Chris and Christina, we just know we could just spend all of our money on cards and that'll be fine. We'll be happy. That's enough.
Yes, we will. And you even within the hobby, we spend our money in stupid ways. I have two Prism hobby boxes. Can you hand me those? Look, here's a stupid spend of money that, look, two of these new Prism hobby boxes. Dude, we opened one of these and got absolutely nothing. Got so destroyed.
How much are those boxes?
Those boxes are about $1,300 to $1,400 a piece. And dude, we probably got $50 worth of cards out of the first box.
What was the best card?
The best card must have been Cade Cunningham base raw, obviously. I mean, the autographs were terrible. One of the autographs was Thor, JT Thor.
Who the fuck is that?
That's exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I want to scroll up. Sasha says, every time I order Uber Eats, I think what card I can buy instead. Exactly.
Dude,
exactly.
So true, man. That's why I'm when I do DoorDash or Uber Eats, I'm just get the cheaper one. You don't need the fucking fancy. Don't even tip the guy, just freaking that money. Or I'll just go drive and get it myself. I literally do that. I'm $4, I'll just drive myself. Fuck it, I need that $4.
Yo, that's hilarious. Okay.
No, wait, this is the best. This is the best point to insert this hashtag. Thank you, sports cards.
All right, very good. Fuck, dude, we have so many questions left. Let me get
people.
To
by the way, that was a joke. I tip people. That was a joke.
All right, let me get to this one from Cards and Candy 911. Dude, you probably had a night. Do you remember at last National when you were just waiting in that arrival circle for that Chipotle? You were almost in the fetal position, just curled up, waiting for that Chipotle Uber delivery. It took so long. Oh, it was bad.
But that burrito made up for all the bad pain.
Dude, I was so mad. By the time it arrived, we had to go to a meeting, so I just put it in my backpack. And by the time we finished the meeting, the burrito was all soggy and gross.
Right.
You saw my total vulnerable state of pure tired and starvation.
We need to think about that for this year's National.
I'm already thinking about it, don't worry.
Perfect. That's what I mean by we.
Yeah, I know it was.
All right, Cards
That's
and
the most annoying part of the National. Everyone's let's get food. And then 7 hours later, we haven't eaten yet. Ooh.
Dude, waiting for people to pick where they want to eat is total misery.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, that's you. She takes.
That's why I was like,
when she says I'm hungry, 2 hours later the food gets ordered.
that's why I'm like, I'm ordering Chipotle. I don't care if you guys say yes or no. Do you want in or not? I'm ordering it. It's happening.
Yeah, except you don't make any decisions though. He'll be like,
No, I don't.
He'll be like, I'm hungry, and I'll be like, what do you want to eat? And he'll be like, I can't think of these things.
I can't dedicate brain power to something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
You should know.
God, you are Frasier.
Yeah, except
I
Fraser
wish.
cooks.
That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me.
You're Frasier.
Cards and you look, man. Let me just
His
show you
obsession
something.
with Frasier is like all.
If I start watching Frasier again, you'll know because I'll start talking in this like transatlantic accent.
They say
You're about
that
to show us like Emmy nomination shit rankings or something.
Dude, come on, man. Hold on. Let me get a.
What's the PER of Frasier versus Office? Probably bad.
It's high, dude. It's
Emmy nominations. Just show Emmy nominations. Come on.
Well, first I need to just, for people who don't know.
You should
Shit.
Come on. Come on, man. This guy's an icon.
Will you shave that dude's hair? He looks a lot like you.
Man, you can, if we want, you can keep the compliments rolling all night.
The comments. Doesn't he host he's like a therapist or something, right? Like a radio show?
Yes, he is, yeah.
He's like Dr. Oz before Dr. Oz was a thing. Or
What's
not.
his brother do?
Dr.
What's his brother's
His
job?
brother is Niles.
What's his deal?
I don't know.
He's
He's awesome too.
He's a real psychologist and makes fun of his brother for being a pseudo-psychologist on the radio.
Oh my god, that show is so pretentious.
It is. They like
great.
also argue about, because they both went to different Ivy Leagues, and they argue about which one's better.
Wait, so what am I looking up here?
Emmy nominations.
Emmy nominations.
Emmy nominations.
If you go back, it said record up at the top.
I bet it did.
So all I know about Niles is that he has a crush on Daphne.
Facts. Big
Because
facts.
every show needs the like love triangle or the crush thing. Wait, did one of them go to Cornell?
What?
Did one of them go to Cornell?
No, Harvard and Yale.
No.
Don't get, that's The Office.
No,
I know.
Yeah, Cornell is Andy.
Yeah, I just love when they're like, "Wait, you went to Cornell? I had no idea, Andy."
You're not ready for this, Josh.
Ugh.
The Office has received 42 Emmy Award nominations. Very impressive. Very impressive. And it has won 5. It won 5 Emmys, which is, obviously really good. Frasier, not nominated. Frasier has won 37 Emmys.
Yeah, but look at this.
This is like
For 5 consecutive years, it won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Comedy Series.
Let's go.
So they've won the same amount of Emmys for comedy series as Office has won total for all categories.
Let's go. So I think this means you need to watch Frasier.
I think it does too.
That's
I will when you watch Silicon Valley.
do I want to watch Silicon Valley? Shows are supposed to be escapism.
That's true. Don't you want to laugh at yourself?
I do enough of that. I don't need a show to help me do that.
Freaking Frasier. My mom watched Frasier, so I've seen like a good chunk of it. But as a child, and I never like followed the plot, so I don't know the plot. But I've seen enough of it.
That's a woman
To know
of
what-
great taste. Also, I don't think you would like Frasier.
Also, it's terrible.
How do you not like Frasier?
Oh, I could think of a million reasons.
What about Friends? How many nominations does Friends have?
Let's see. I just love how we're doing sitcom analytics live.
Is like Office not winning more is the travesty of all the world.
Friends has 62 nominations. How many wins?
Nick said Frasier low-key wet.
So Frasier 37, Friends 6, Office 5.
I thought it was 38.
No, it's 37. How did you not commit the correct number to memory?
Because I don't commit memories to numbers.
Well,
I don't
like
commit numbers to memory.
This is like the stuck-up, pretentious, like award winnings, world. I'm talking about like
Hey,
Rotten Tomatoes. What do the fans think?
Look, Frasier was an easier era. They were up against Plumbers.
Dude, it's like so perfect that your favorite show is like the PER beast.
I did not know that either, by the way.
It's like the fucking Jokic of shows.
Dude, that's perfect. Frasier is the Jokic. Damn, I thought we were going to call this show The Quiet PC, but now I think I have a new title.
Frasier is the Jokic of shows. Shit Beast is still the best caption of all time. Like, that whole night was like exhausting, and then I get to the end, all I see is Shit Beast, and I'm like, that's pretty good.
All right, somebody wanted Seinfeld. Julian wanted Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. I mean, goddamn. That's probably.
Why do they make this so difficult? What are you hiding?
Write in nomination.
What are you hiding?
Fucking Frasier. I can't think of a more boring show.
Don't you dare. Oh, look, Seinfeld actually has its own Wikipedia page dedicated to its nominations. Okay.
Nick in the chat said, low-key, Frasier's kind of whack.
Who said that?
Your brother.
Oh, boy. All right, you ready for this?
Like, less than fucking Frasier?
Julian, nice try, buddy. But not even close. Seinfeld has won 10 Emmy Awards.
Just search the most Emmy wins for a comedy. Just fucking let's get to the end of this.
It said that Frasier's was a record for its time, so someone has beaten it since.
Well, there's too much.
No.
God damn it!
Let's fucking go!
Number one of all time is fucking Frasier.
From ASUSA. Which TV series is one of the most Emmys? It was the spin-off show Frasier, which really won plaudits at the Emmy Awards. The program is the most successful comedy program in history of the Emmys and boasts 37 award wins. Let's go. Whew, the Frasier pump is on. I need a Kelsey Grammer autograph right now.
We should talk to Luber about Frasier Zero Cool IP.
Dude, I don't know why you would ever rank Harry Potter in the top 100 cards. Fucking Kelsey Grammer. No, a triple auto of Daphne, Niles, and fucking Frasier. Sticker. Make them all stickers. I don't give a shit.
Or like a paw print of the dog.
Yeah, the dog. That probably had an explosion of Jack Russell Terriers when that show came out.
Man, what a high note to end on.
That show was a spin-off of Cheers, right? He was like a character on Cheers?
Yes. Yep.
But the best part, someone mentioned it in the chat, the best part of
I didn't even know the show was such a hit.
Was that his dad was like a retired policeman who like drank beer, watched sports, and like did not connect with his kids.
Let the Frasier pump begin.
That show is so bad. I can't wait to watch it and criticize the fuck out of it.
All right.
There's like 20 seasons, I bet. I gotta watch like a million fucking episodes of this show.
Yeah, I can't wait.
They have Frasier cards.
We do.
How many seasons are there?
Do you remember? There's let's see.
Because this could be a volume game where they've got like 80 seasons, and sure, they won the most Emmys.
Don't try to downplay that award. They have 11 seasons.
God, that's pretty low.
That's very low. That's efficient. That is
37 and 11 seasons. That's a lot. The last season it said they won 6.
They won 6. Yep, they went out with a bang.
And they're reviving the show.
I'm so glad we looked that up.
As Nick says, their Emmy run is not over.
We just fell into that. You were like 37. I was like, oh, that means Office has like 80. And then you're like, actually, they have 5. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Dude, 37 is a lot. Wow.
Well, I thought, like, 37, that's average, where it's like, you get an Emmy for having, like, a good fucking lighting crew or something. Kelsey Grammer is the voice of the fucking, like, grumpy cowboy in Toy Story.
Really?
Yes, he's the fucking, like,
What a fall from grace.
He went from the best comedy of all time to the grumpy cowboy in Toy Story.
Oh, man. All right.
Modern Family has 22 wins and 80 nominations.
I've never seen a bit kill more audience members of ours than that one.
Went from 100 to 56.
They're pumping Frasier now. I am the fuck out of here.
One of my DMs this week accused me of like caring what other people think. This little bit proves that I was right, and I don't care. Talking about Frasier Emmy nominations. Self-sabotage.
Oh, there's a lot of great questions we didn't get to, but that's okay. That's how it goes sometimes. All right. But I'm calling it now so I can help Christina finish some stuff up over here. Great show. One episode of the crossover left before the National. And hope to see lots of you guys in the AC. So, see you guys next week.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.